AT&T reported some earnings, and I gotta say, I'm pretty happy and pretty relieved. Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Here we talk about stocks and investing from the perspective of my own personal financial journey. So AT&T released some earnings today. I'm recording this on Wednesday, you'll be seeing this on Friday, and we're gonna go through it, and I'm gonna tell you why I am buying more AT&T and buying quite heavily. And then of course, I'll show you my weekly portfolio update. So let's start with the basic numbers. For this quarter, they reported $45.7 billion, which beat the analysts' high estimates. They reported an adjusted EPS of 0.75, which beat the average estimate. Now for the full year, they're reporting $171.8 billion, which beats the high analyst expectations for this year. And they're reporting 3.18 adjusted EPS for the year, which beat the average analyst estimates. And that's just the start. Like, this is proven to be a really strong quarter for AT&T. Let's take a look at some of these numbers here. The broadband connectivity, postpaid phone subscribers, up to 64.2 million. I think John mentioned on the earnings call, this is the highest it's ever been. The net ads fucking exploding from 4Q19 to this quarter. Look at that. 229K to 800K. It's been hit really hard during the pandemic for obvious reasons, but it is clearly bouncing back, and this is really a strong quarter. Fiber subscribers up to 5 million. I think he also mentioned this is also the highest it's ever been. Net adds 191K to 273K over the space of a year. And now take a look at the HBO Max. Now, I think this is the year that HBO started being able to show movies that were normally playing in theaters on HBO Max. And that was a very fortunate move, because now HBO Max is touting 41.5 million subscribers. Also, the highest it's ever been. Premium TV, well, I guess they cut their losses down, which is, premium TV is kind of on its way out anyway. So I'm not too worried about that, but I am happy that they're cutting their losses somewhat in this quarter and the last quarter. I mean, adjusted EPS compared to last year, yeah, it's down as well as revenues, but I mean, is anyone surprised? I'm actually surprised they did this well given the current situation last year. But take a look at this right here. This is one thing I want to show you. The total dividend payout ratio for this year is 54.5%. I know in my earlier AT&T videos, which you can watch up there, hope I pointed at the right spot. I mentioned I was a little worried about their payout ratio, but I listened on that earnings call, and John didn't even hint at cutting dividends. Like, we're very strong, and and dividends are most of the reason I'm into AT&T. Like, I do see some growth down the line, especially as they recover from the situation, but AT&T, yeah, we're looking at a pretty good long-term dividend play. Now, they did report ending the year with $147.5 billion in net debt, which is, compared to last quarter, a little more. So this is the quarter from September. So they have a little more debt than last quarter, which is a bit, I mean, debt's been a bit of a problem for AT&T. However, they did mention on the call that one of their goals for this year is to use the cash flow that was left over after dividends to start paying down their debt. So that makes me happy. Communications, mobility is up by a lot. Business down a little bit. Broadband and video down a little bit. Warner Media, I want to talk about this. This is what I'm excited about over the course of 2021 and 2022. Warner Media, which is a thing that AT&T required, I think, a couple of years ago, somewhere around then, that was supposed to make them money. Obviously didn't, due to obvious pandemic-related reasons. They took a hit from 2019 to 2020. And what's got me excited is, as this pandemic slowly lessens, and assuming it continues to lessen, like, I'm watching Instagram, I'm seeing these movie stars go back into Hollywood, go back into filming movies. Like, they're starting back up. And so I am hoping that as things continue to improve with the virus situation, that if we start going back to some kind of normal in 2021, the Warner Media, once this bounces back, this is where I see a lot of the growth coming in. And talking about growth, let's not forget their tremendously growing 5G wireless and fiber-based connectivity network. that's going to explode, especially as 5G continues and continues to become more normalized. Now, as far as our guidance goes, this is what I think led to the stock going down today, despite strong earnings otherwise. The revenue growth, 1% or less, so roughly even over the course of 2021. EPS adjusted is supposed to be stable, mostly the same with 2020. We'll see how that plays out. But I think analysts were expecting more. To be perfectly honest, I'm fine with this. And be even more honest, I'm even fine with the fact that the stock is dropping, because with my faith in the company going forward in the next couple of years and this stock getting cheaper, yeah, you bet your sweet ass I'm going to be buying in. You can bet your sweet ass on that. So to start with my final thoughts, let's talk about how I feel about the stock and my goals for this stock. So why am I in AT&T? Well, as I mentioned earlier, this is a dividend play. Do I think this stock is going to 5x or 10x the market in the next 3 to 5 years? Absolutely not. No. But I do think the stock is very valuable. I do like the company, and I think as of right now that the stock is undervalued. But I'm not in this because of what I think is going to happen to 2021. I think it is my opinion that AT&T is going to slowly drift upwards over the course of the year. I think it is with 2022 and onward, assuming the economy bounces back at some sort of resiliency, I think 22 is where AT&T is going to make it big. If you look at a 5-year cycle, you can see that AT&T normally trades between like $35 and $40, depending on the phase of the cycle that it's on. Now, in late 2018, we had the bear market, which is, I think, is why it's down here. But right before the pandemic, it was slowly making its way back into the 40s. And I think that in 2022, assuming things don't take any more of a shit, that AT&T is going to slowly make its way somewhere around there. So if you take a look at the stock from a yearly perspective, if you bought the stock exactly last year, you'd be down 24.47%. Which, if this was your year to sell out and stuff, I can see why you're mad. However, I didn't buy the stock a year ago. I bought the stock this year. And if you take a look at my portfolio, I am up 0.55%. So you take that and you account for 7% dividend yield each year, assuming the price stays roughly the same. Yeah, we're making some bank on this stock. And while we're here, we might as well take a look at my portfolio. We took quite a bit of a beating today. The Fed released some not so great news, and the market took a shit as a result. Cloudera, on the other hand, that went up like a beast. And this is probably due to the news today, which I'm actually glad that Cloudera actually released some news. That they've been pretty tight-lipped on shit. They just completed their SOC2 Type 2 certification, which means that when they go to sell their product to the customers have more satisfaction that their data is safe. And even with the beating we took today, we are still up 35.73%. We're not quite, flaunting 5-figure gains, but we're up 9,700, which I'm happy with. We have I put $500 extra into the market this week just because I had it left over. I still have this much in cash, well, minus this amount, of course. I bought a shit ton of AT&T, and I bought some FedEx because it dropped to where I needed to go. We are sitting at a grand total right now of $38,089.56. And my strategy going forward, especially with AT&T, is I'm going to start buying more shares every week. As long as this price stays around where it is now, maybe $200 a week, maybe $300 a week, we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to keep regularly adding shares to this, at least for the next little while. But anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Take care, have a great day, and eat your vegetables.